Hi everyone, and welcome to my third tutorial on how to draw with watercolor pencils. And for this lesson I've bought a fill ink for it's the Kowedo Sport, and it's an ink pen that is where you can put cartridges in. And the nice thing about this that it will dissolve in the water and it's a bit thicker, while for the background and the mid parts of my drawing I will be using the Staedtler fineliner 0.2. So these lines are a little bit finer, so I can create a kind of depth. And furthermore, we're going to draw with the watercolor pencils, of course, because we're going to color it in and see what effect it has with the brush. Now, as I was saying, this fill pencil will dissolve with water. The Staedtler will not, and the watercolor pencils, of course, will dissolve great. What I've also bought is a cutting board, and I can use this for putting on a little bit of pigment on it and then pick that up with my brush so I can get the colors that I want, because I do not want to go into wet paper with my watercolor pencils. Now, in the foreground, what I will be doing is simply put in some squiggly lines, and that is supposed to be grass, which is in the front of us. And here we can see a side where some poles are in the ground and maybe a little fence. And these are alongside the water, the little stream that bends through our landscape. It's a typical Dutch landscape, and maybe you know that the Netherlands are below the water, the sea level. So we have a lot of little streams and lowlands with a lot of grass and cows and sheep and all. And it is a lovely, kind of scenery to draw. Well, the front was all done with that Kowedo Sport, with the cartridges. And in the meantime, I have switched over to the Staedtler. And this is a very fine fineliner, 0.2. And I'm using this for the mid section of my drawing and also the background. This will not dissolve. And here I'm putting in the horizon. As you know, the Netherlands are very flat. And here I draw in the side of my little stream. And here maybe some trees and a very little town that we can see, and it has a little church in it, for instance, and some houses that surround the church with some trees. And I do not have to put in all the much detail, but I do like to render in a little bit with that Staedtler fineliner. Okay, not too much detail, this will be sufficient. And then I can already switch over to the watercolor pencils. I've taken a dark green, not too bright, and what I simply do is put in the pigments for everything that is green. and the Netherlands are very green indeed. So I'm using it for the grass, the meadows and the trees. Over that green I put in a little bit of yellow ochre, and I also use that for the fence that is along the stream. And you do not have to be precise, because later on we will be diving in with the brush and the water. Now, to make that town pop out, I use a little bit of red, and what I also use is dark blue, and I use that for the shadow parts in the grass underneath the trees, and also of course for the sky itself with a little bit of yellow, dark yellow. Then it's time to hit the pigments with the water. Now this is where the real fun begins, and as you can see, the ink that came out of the cartridge from the Kowedo in this case dissolves with the water and mixes with the pigments of my watercolor pencils. Then I continue, and it's very nice because I want the front of my drawing to be really nice and dark. You get that picturesque idea of the darkness in the front of your drawing, while as we move away, the colors will become a little bit lighter. Now all you have to do is simply go over everything that you've colored in with the pencils and then ease it out. Of course, I try to stay a little bit between the lines, and I do not mind when I go over them a little bit, because that gives it just that nice feel of an aquarelle or water painting, how you want to call it. And here I'm drawing in the meadow. You can see that the barbed wire was done with that filling pencil, and it is now dissolving, so I guess I had better use the Staedtler, but well, never mind. It gives it a nice effect anyhow. Now I'm taking my cutting board and I put on a little bit of purple, and over this a little bit of black. Now, because my drawing is wet, I do not want to go in with the pencils themselves, so when I want to put in dark shadows, I simply pick that up from the cutting board and then put in the dark shadows simply with the pigments that I've picked up from the board. I also use it here in front, and because I want that dramatic feel of dark versus light. And you can see that I did not put almost not any color into the water, because the sun is way up high and the water will reflect whitish. I do put in a little bit of reflection, of course, for the fences, and that's enough for the water. Now, to get it a little bit more playful, I've picked up a pink, and I put in a little bit of pink into the sky, as well as a little bit of yellow, just to give it a bit of a fun effect. be careful with it, but I think it's nice just to put in a little bit of color. And if you think your green is too green, just put over a little bit of purple and you will ease down the green. Okay, so for my study. Oh, and also don't forget to watch the video where I straighten out my watercolor paintings when they get bubbly. Well, I hope you will give it a big like and share it with your friends. And I will see you again in my next tutorial.